Hey class, it's Harun Fair. It's a really late submission, but I'm about to start my presentation and it's on the mental health in the Somali community. The question at hand really is, what is the mental health stigma in the Somali community, and why is there one? And I feel like this topic is dodged a lot in our community and it just really needs to be addressed, and it's something that is really important for the here on out in the future. So some key terms, first and foremost, is depression itself. And mental health disorder, depression is a mental health disorder characterized by persistently depressed mood or loss of interest in activities, causing significant impairment in daily life. It's really just things that a lot of us go through here in our daily lives, but in the Somali community in Minnesota, if it's in the United States or all over the world and even back home, a lot of people go through it, but unfortunately it's really swept under the rug, and that's something that just needs to be discussed. And key term number 2 is ninwala, and it's a phrase in Somali language. It really means a crazy person. They're an ostracized, mentally ill person in Somalia. If you can see here in this photo below, it's really scarring, but you're gonna have to see it in our later on in the video. It's a little bit of an Easter egg, so you might have to remember that. Key term number 3 is kibir. It's another term that our parents normally say, or older people. It's really just crocodile tears, or when they're arrogant. So they kind of, when I say sweep under the rug, and they're not really addressing these issues, when these siblings and these young folks are going through it, they say kibir or it's crocodile tears. They don't take it seriously or into account, and that's why it's really hard for the individuals and the young people just to reach out to their parents. And that's why there's that divide. Alright, today, so for my first razzle dazzle, I picked this video. This documentary is really powerful. It's a really short clip, but I think it's something we should all really notice. Like, it really affected me when I seen it myself. My parent actually showed me this, my mom did. So when I felt like it was very important to share with everyone else. This is just really powerful stuff, and it's really graphic to see as well. But this is just goes to show the treatment that the mentally ill people in Somalia have to endure. So let's just watch this clip.
This is Abdullahi, a mentally ill Somali man. I met him last year, chained in his tin hut like an animal 24 hours a day. His family kept him locked up, saying he was a danger to himself and to others. He was unwashed, ignored, and isolated. But Abdullahi's case is not exceptional. In Somalia, there is little understanding or treatment of mental health illness. Men like Abdullahi are the forgotten people of Somalia, known simply as Ninkawalan, the mad man. After 17 years as a chained man, Marian, a mental health nurse, came to his rescue. With the shackles of his life removed, he was walking into a life full of hope. 8 months of treatment. Here's Abdullahi. In the same clinic Mariam brought him to.
Abdullahi, saako baxaysa xaafadii baad tegaysaa soo waxaad garatayba silsiladiina saasay kaaga dhamaatay silsilada meel ugu xidhayaana ma jirto laakiin mid uma kuu sheegaya inaad dawadaadana qaadato.
Marian is reassuring him. Life as a chained man is now behind him. He wishes his friends luck, but Marian is keen to move him on, to take him to his family. Abdullahi is excited to begin a new chapter in his life as a free man. But some friends are sad to see him go.
Abdullahi.
بس لا توقعت بحر قيسان شو بدش
ايوه
يا
استنكوغا.
But as he gets closer to home, Abdullahi becomes anxious, not sure what to expect.
حبتي دقنا جرين
Perhaps 8 months is not long enough to forget the ordeal he went through at his family home over the years. The tin hut where he spent many years of his life is still there. A reminder that he could be chained again. But Abdullahi walks away from his past. His old roommates are all on their own.
واديك بوكسدي واسكي بوكسدي ممكن اوبر الحمد لله رب العالمين صلاة قوتهم صعب
The children of the family are nervous about Abdullahi's return. His niece and nephew have always been warned to stay away from him, and they are too young to see the changes in their uncle's condition. Abdullahi knows it will take them time to feel safe. For the first time in many years, his family welcomes him inside, into the living room, a place he was forbidden from entering.
Abdullahi, imika waa adiga soo baxee anna maxaa kuu qorshaysan baad umaanaysaa imika waa adiga ka soo baxay
mujtamaca sana qabsanayo mooyaane
hee
ay qorshaysan oo kale ma jira
aad baad ugu faraxsantay malaha reerka ku soo noqoto soona raaciba maanta hore sadiina raaciye adeer yuusuf Abdullahi waanu soo saarnay saaka xaaladiisuna waa taasoo iska fiican tahay laakiin kama daba harayno oo mar walba waxaan doonaynaa inaan ka warhayno isbedelkiisa nabadgelyo
With Marian gone, his dad tries to reassure him that things have changed. But the presence of the tin hut is clearly bothering Abdullahi. Later that afternoon, Abdullahi's mother comes back from work. He's very close to his mom.
khamiis kasta waanu tegi jiray weli khamiis keliya kama joogo ilaahay baanu ka baryay inaanu noo sii siyaadiyo uu wanaagsan yahay ee u sii siyaadiyo halka ariga kala wareegay ariga lagu xareeyaa qolkii
The children are starting to relax around him, and he is able to chat over a simple cup of tea. Abdullahi is now a member of the family, a son, a brother, an uncle. But will society accept him? He will always be called Ninkawalan, the madman.
Alright, so that was a really powerful video. Honestly, it was really hard seeing it the first couple times, but I needed just to see it, replay it once over again, just to get a full grasp of the situation. So a few takeaways I had from the video, honestly, were first and foremost, he was shackled and he was living there for about 17 years. Mind you, he was mentally ill and the worst treatment. He was with livestock, and that's what's something that's like really shocking to some viewers. Second off, I see the way the parents are playing it off on the camera. It seems as if they're even more loving than they are. Oh, he said, "Oh, it's good for you," and thank God, and whatnot. Like, we have to thank God. There's an important theme here in my presentation is religion and Islam and how it's treated in mental illness, and that's something also need to be taken away as well. So important background information to remember. So it's the strong Islamic faith in the Somali community. It makes up over 99% are Sunni Muslims. So they follow the word of the Quran from the original source. So everything is not watered down. Everything's original. And it's like, to put it into perspective for the viewers, it's like really strong Catholic beliefs for the Muslim side. And there's a lot of hard written rules on how society to play, so it's not like they're really sympathetic to Western views currently. And unfortunately, Somalia is one of the poorest nations in the world as of now, and it's still in the bottom percentile in education. And the Civil War in 1991 and the current terrorist attacks and the droughts and disasters, they just make it unable for the country to thrive. So it's just unfortunate circumstances altogether for these mentally ill and depressed people to live in altogether. Alright, so my first expert source, I received it from the Psychiatric Times, and it was written by Jerome Kroll and Ahmed Ismail Yusuf. So I was really drawn to this article because they really took into account all of the issues that weren't addressed over the years in the Somali communities in America and Somalia. And I like seeing the perspective of it from a Somali doctor because there's not a lot of common official like um, mental health experts in our community. So it was interesting seeing his insight in it, and it was like I didn't really feel the authenticness of something like not really to be offensive, but like an American, an American doctor who would deal with something like this. Because if I see someone like a Somali doctor dealing with this, is like both sides of the field, and that's what something is really important in my opinion. And the second expert source is from the Minnesota Department of Health. It's pretty much like an article going on about the mental health issues and the stigmas in Minnesota. And I think these are really important because these really go along to how a lot of the young and the youth have been trying to bring mental awareness with their foundations. Even my cousins, on that matter, have started a hotline for depressed young students and teens, and it's a really, really reaching out to these people, and it's very beneficial in my opinion. All right, so my takeaways from this research, and well, honestly, always screenshot whatever you find. Like I always find a good little nugget of information, and I screenshot it or I put it in my notepad just to make sure I keep it so I know I didn't lose it. Even if I'm not going to use it, it's always beneficial to me. And you always look at the situation from both sides. So it's really tough for me because since I fall into these categories of these being a Somali teen with these parents, it's really hard for me to just not try to judge the parents who are not really as understanding of the youth. But it's really a generational thing, so I understand from their point of view as well. So I just try to keep it impartial in my books. And unfortunately, there aren't any books or articles on this topic since it's really a newer topic that's brought up, so there isn't like a long history that we can go into with the cycle of like the abuse and the mental illness that these Somali people have gone through over the past 100 or some years. And hopefully with the research we have now and the stigma going away a little bit, we can get those books and articles in the near future that could help for any of these struggling Somali teens and youth. Alright, so my second razzle dazzle was the interview with my friend to the right. So he deals with depression himself, and I asked him a series of questions: how he copes with things, how he deals with his parents, religion, and how, like, it's just a wide variety of topics of questions. So I'll just skim it down to three. So I asked him three pretty big questions. My first question was, how do your parents deal with you when you asked that you were dealing with depression? So unfortunately, he answered to me that his parents simply don't really care. They think, like I said earlier, it was kibir, the crocodile tears, and they think it's just a disconnect from God, and anyone's just misguided. So that was just always their first response. And second off, I said, how did you receive treatment or anything? He said it was really difficult for him to find anybody to get approved to get reach out to a therapist, since at a young age you need like the parents' signature approval to get one. And they think it's like some sort of like scam, and they're brainwashing their son. And unfortunately that's not the case, since there's studies showing that there's a lot of benefits to doing these therapies and dealing with a psychiatrist as well. And he's also taking certain medications to deal with these antidepressants. And I've seen the improvement. He's gotten better. So it really just takes conversations with these people and just being understanding, having an open place. So my last question was, when did you want to reveal this to you and your friends? I mean, I didn't know, but I still wanted him to ask. So I wanted to know when he'd be able to like openly tell like the rest of our friend group when he was able to deal with these things. So he told us roughly around, I'd say myself around 2016, and but the rest of our friends, I'd say 2 years later, just because I was a bit more understanding, and I guess I knew where he was coming from because I deal with some of these issues myself. And he pretty much went on to say how it's really difficult to open up when like the Somali community, the males are really masculine, and it's just seen as a weak trait just for a Somali teen, like a young man who's supposed to be strong and independent, to have these issues or these demons, so to say. And it was really refreshing to hear him open up to me when he did, and open up once again to all of our friends, so we know that he is going through these things and he's gotten a lot better, and I'm really happy for him. Alright, so what I took away from my research in the final off, it's that Somali people are being in the bottom percentile of education and wealth. The poverty is really affecting them from getting the proper care that any other nation would, and that's just really holding them back, unfortunately. And the increase in the younger teens leaving the religion, it is shocking to see how much have left the religion, like slowly but surely, because usually Islam is known as the most fastest growing religion. So it's really shocking to hear that some are actually leaving the religion, because I myself am a Muslim and I understand why. It's just because of the harsh teachings sometimes that they were brought upon as a young child. So that might certainly be the case. And unfortunately, the children still have the friction dealing with their mental issues and how to resolve them. Like my friend did, it's really hard to open up to the parents who think this is all just like they need God in their lives. The book of Quran is the answer, the Bible or whatnot, and it's like it only helps, in my opinion, helps to degree, but of course you still need the proper care and treatment. That's what it's there for, and that's just something hopefully the parents see. And it's still Somalis in shackles from being mentally ill. I asked my parent, and I also followed up with some articles I looked up myself. There is actually a lot of practices where they would just chain up any mentally ill person, where they wouldn't deal with them like they're animals, and that's unfortunately just causes more trauma, and they're treated like animals. Like if you recall, there was the girl who grew up in the wild with the wolves. So if you're out in the wild with no human interaction, you're shackled up, you're treated like an animal. It's just only going to become one. Make you it doesn't make their case simply go away and get them better. It just makes them more wild and untamed, unfortunately. And so, lastly, it's the teenagers increasing opioids to cope with their problems. Like, didn't want to really bring this up, but a lot of my friends have dealt with these painkiller issues just to deal with their losses. It's death in the community. It's their own struggles they have. Like the fastest growing number of deaths for Somali teens is really just the fentanyl and the opioids they take, and it's really unfortunate when there's a study going that most of the time it's because they overdosed on it, when it could have been prevented, when these people have been going through a lot. And then when the parents understand, they think it was they'll go and ask, oh, why didn't we check up on them? And then that's always something we don't want, those oh what ifs and those too late moments when they're right there and they can be saved still. And we have the tools now to do this, so hopefully that it can get resolved in the near future. So my $1 million answer, really, I already reiterated this, but it's the why is there that stigma. It's really just about the past generation just pushing that issue on the agenda of the religion and not being closer to God, having it sort of be a weakness when you're mentally ill. It's not something that can be normalized. Like health issues have really have had more awareness lately. We have our own mental awareness month itself. Like it's hard to believe any like Somali nation would have something like that at this moment, unfortunately. But it's just going to take a lot of work and cooperation from the parent to the child, and that is something that we can see hopefully in the near future. All right, so this is my presentation. I really thank you for listening. It was a lot of work, and this topic was very, very large, and it's still ongoing. But hopefully, we do see these results in the near future. I myself am gonna try to work hard with any source of like foundation or charity I can, just to make sure that these people are provided the proper care and not be swept aside, and just to push the agenda on our parents that this isn't really just a little kibber, as I said before. This is a real life going on issue, and that's